All right. Hello, everyone. I think we are just about a 1 minute away, so I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to settle in, and we'll start in about 2 minutes. Just wanted to give everyone a heads up. All right, it's 11 o'clock. It's bright and sunny here in Houston, Texas. We just wanted to say hello and welcome each and every one of you. I know you all could be doing so many important things today, but you chose to join with us, and we greatly appreciate your time. I am accompanied by Brett Keast, a longtime partners with ViewPro. He is a founder and CEO of enCodePlus. And today's discussion or topic is how we can unify two main constant variables, which is the zoning code, where it is hosted in your ordinance software, and GIS. Before we get started, I just want to know you all a little bit. Just going to say where you all are coming from, what's your background. If you don't mind giving us a little bit of an understanding, we might be able to fine tune our presentation today. If you don't mind giving us a quick poll, uh, and I'll probably give about 15, 20 seconds. Brett, are you able to see the?
I'm not.
You're not, right? Okay. Let's see. Relaunch the poll. Okay.
There you go. How's up?
Thank you. If you don't mind telling us where you're coming from, what your background is, we'll greatly appreciate it. Wow, it's amazing. There's only 2 sets of folks so far. I'll give it another few more seconds. Right. All right. Any last ones? I'm going to end the poll in 5 seconds. Awesome. All righty. I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share the results with you so you kind of know. Almost 3/4 of you are with local government, and a few of you are from the consulting world. So none of you are from NASA, none of you are from the Esri's background, none of you are from education background. So fantastic. All righty. Let's get going. I appreciate y'all's time. As I said, my name is Suhag Kinsara. I am the founder and CEO of ViewPro. Our presentation, our webinar is split into 2 parts. We're just going to give you a brief overview in the first few minutes on what our overall goal for today's webinar is, what our strategy is, why we think it's important. And Brett here is going to come from the ordinance management angle and how he has been changing the industry one feature at a time. And us as planners first, from the GIS perspective, on the latter half of the webinar, I'm going to talk about how we are addressing the same technology solution, but from a technology standpoint. To get the ball rolling, this is the reality on the ground. On the left side, we have what we call a zoning codification software. And on the right side, we have a GIS. These 2 data sets are always constant, no matter which city you go to. And the point I'm trying to make here is that these 2 are a kind of inevitable devil in every cities. And they have their own unique, if you have a next slide, please, Brett. The complexity is very different. On the zoning codification side, they could be 400, 500, 600 page document. And if I look at the last 20 years since I've been in the industry, there's a very little innovation that has happened in how zoning codes are managed with the right planning-centric tools. On the right side, what we have is GIS information, which is typically supported by Esri for primarily. It's a highly specialized, if I can have a next slide. The reason why I want to feel that this is highly specialized is Esri's ecosystem has grown into something really massive. And if I want to simplify the logic, I want to compare that with a Lego box. If you have a Lego box of 5 pieces to 50 pieces to 500 pieces, the complexity changes quite much as more boxes are added. The logic here is that 5 to 50 is a relatively smaller learning curve, but 50 to 500 pieces, we all know that we may have to dismantle our toy, put it back in again. It's kind of a bit frustrating. But Ezra's ecosystem is more like 500 to 5,000 pieces. There are so many different things, different ways you can do it. And if you don't know which piece goes where, in what order, and how to configure it correctly, we probably may not have the outcome that we desire. So throughout the presentation, what I want to showcase it to you is we have figured out a way how to configure these different pieces that Esri has to offer and the codification has to offer, how we can put them in a certain order so that we as planners can tell a story. So to summarize, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bridge these two constant variables and kind of put together this one funnel or bridge so that we can have free exchange of information at the same time leverage what the zoning coding management has to offer and what GIS has to offer. And we'll make that absolutely clear. With that, I want to give it back to Brett and share his part of it.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm Brett Keast. I'm the owner and CEO of enCodePlus, as well as Kindig Keast Collaborative, a national consulting planning and zoning firm. Just as a brief introduction, before we really dive into a demo, I think it's important to ground our conversation in why modernization is really no longer optional. We've got a lot of tools and a lot of technology available to us, and communities are being asked to do more and more with the same or even fewer resources, while it seems that the complexity continues to keep rising. And what you'll see as we proceed here is how a unified digital environment, as Suhag was talking about, can really fundamentally change the way cities and counties manage all this information and make decisions and serve the public. What is enCode? Well, think of enCode as the backbone of your planning and regulatory ecosystems. It's one environment where everything lives, stays well organized, and stays current. It supports the full life cycle of planning and zoning, from drafting to adoption to daily use and long-term maintenance. And the structured foundation is what ultimately enables us to automate and integrate and increasingly embed AI reasoning. There's several challenges, but these are mostly universal across many of the cities and counties that we work at across the country. Every one of them kind of feels these, whether they articulate or name them or not. And information is scattered, updates take way too long. Staff spends far too much time navigating systems instead of doing the actual planning work that they are educated to do and they enjoy doing. And our mission is to eliminate obstacles so staff can focus on decisions, not document management. What makes us different is the key distinction is integration, as Suhag was talking about. Everything from planning and zoning text to GIS maps, workflows, and AI operates in a cohesive framework. When data is structured and connected, it eliminates a lot of the inconsistencies that tend to create confusion and delay. And this is what makes real-time publishing, automated checks, and AI insights possible. In the demo, I'll walk you through tasks that your staff likely handle on a day-to-day basis, everything from public inquiries to internal updates. Everything is designed to reduce friction, fewer clicks, fewer workarounds, and fewer places to look for the information that you need every day. And by the end, you'll see how each feature supports not just efficiency, but confidence in the accuracy of your regulations. The benefits of the platform reach well beyond the planning office. Developers and applicants get clear direction. Residents get more and better transparency, and elected officials can get cleaner information to support their decisions. And the return on investment shows up in fewer delays, fewer miscommunications, and more consistent planning processes. And we all hear about AI in a lot of different facets, and we're dealing with it on a daily basis as we get in and look around the internet. AI is being infused in pretty much everything we do. And so this is where I believe the field is happening, or is headed, and it's happening faster than many of us realize. AI isn't here to replace planners. It's here to remove the noise and amplify our expertise. And communities that invest in structured, connected data are the ones that will be ready for the next generation of planning tools in the coming years, I should say. So, I'd like to walk you through quickly a demonstration of what ENCODE is and how it operates. Each site is unique to each location and place. They can view, this is kind of a basic way to view, but it can go into the zoning code and can view regulations. It's a little more customized than what you are used to seeing if you're used to using other systems. I think since we're on Zoom and we got a lot of people, it's slowing us down here. So you're able to review the text. There is built-in graphics. All the definitions, defined terms, or hover over pop-up. There's hyperlinks within and between documents. So from your zoning ordinance to engineering standards, or to comprehensive plan or design guidelines, all the graphics are integrated within the document. We have different ways that we can look up information. This is by district, where it will basically pull together all the provisions that relate to a specific district or even to a certain topic, so that you can identify everything that pertains to a specific district. Sorry, it's taking time to develop here, just internet speeds. So instead of needing to know 300 or 400 pages, it will basically pull together those 15 or 20 pages that are relevant to that particular person or application. We also have archives where all of the history is maintained. So you can pull it up by a specific ordinance number, or you can actually go back in date and look and see what the regulations were back in, say, 2014. So you have a full recorded history of all your regulations. So you can do a lot of research for special use cases or whatever the case may be. We have an e-reader tool that allows people, particularly residents that maybe aren't familiar with a development code, to look at it like a book, swipe their finger across their iPad or their phone and turn the pages. So it's easier for them rather than scrolling up and down. Of course, this can embed all of the URLs and everything as well. I believe Suhag's going to show you more about the mapping and GIS and so forth. We also have a series of development calculators that allow people to calculate whether it's fees, whether it's signage, landscaping, tree planting, land dedication. There's even affordable housing calculators that we have now. And so instantaneously, you can put in a district, you can select a use or whatever the input might be, and it will give you all the results along with cross-referenced hyperlinks to all the applicable sections, and will give you the answers in short order. One of the things that we are working on is making ordinances and codes much easier to utilize and to navigate, so you don't get what looks like a typewritten page that you're scrolling through. This is a recent example from Loudoun County, Virginia. We call this a zoning navigator, where you can view a video to understand how the site works. You can also click on any one of these boxes and kind of view graphically all the different chapters, much easier than scrolling and opening boxes. There's also a lot of tools, as we've talked about. We just showed you the development calculators, land use lookup, where you can search a particular land use, identify the districts where that land use is permitted or maybe specially or conditionally permitted, and then it will map them. Suhag might show you that. I just showed you the e-reader. And then there's a lot of other ways that you can search the document. These are all custom designed depending upon the structure and the organization and the content of your documents. This is another recently published one from Chesterfield County, Virginia. This is their ZOMOD, or their zoning modernization project that we were involved in writing the new ZOMOD. This also includes their comprehensive plan and subdivision regulations. So if you click on the ZOMOD, it basically, again, is like a zoning navigational aid to help people identify how the code is structured, what they can look at, and they can simply click in and go to the individual code. You see everything's hyperlinked and cross-referenced. There are inline graphics like this. They are all fully updatable. So that is another aspect of this as well. One of the things that's unique about enCodePlus is that there is a maintenance module. So you can actually have password protected access into the back end of the software through an admin portal, where you can utilize it to keep all of your notes of changes that you want to make over time. You can collaborate with other staff within your department or other departments to do track changes, to provide comments, and to really work collaboratively as you're drafting either edits and amendments or whole new sections. Those can be edited and then ultimately published and codified. So there's a lot of power that's built into the back end that allows us to maintain all of the versions and to set up a lot of the automations that come with the software. One of the most recent things that we've done that's exciting to us is that we're beginning to integrate AI into our work. So this is a beta site that we have built. This is a recent document that we worked on for Baytown, Texas. This is what we call a document gallery. You can see that in addition to the Unified Land Development Code, they also have their comp plan, tech specs, stormwater reports, project manuals, etc. So all those documents are together and accessible within one site, again, a document gallery. And then you can cross-reference and hyperlink between documents. A recent request that we got from a client was, can we search across documents? Well, previously you really couldn't. You could go into a document, you can search keywords and so forth and identify every instance of those words or phrases in that document. But what AI allows us to do is to search across all those documents using common language. So for instance, I put in here earlier what uses are allowed in the R1 zoning district. And so it goes through and talks about the structure of the zoning districts. You can click on this and access the consolidated use table. Oops, hit the wrong button here. Hang on with me. And you can also see that the structure of those uses, permitted, special, limited, so forth and so on. Then it gives you all the hyperlinks and corresponding sections, as well as access to the integrated zoning map that Suhag will be showing you as well. So you can go into a lot of detail. You can say, for instance, can I operate a home-based business and what restrictions apply? It'll take a little bit of time because we've spent a lot of time investing in this and training it so that it will result highly accurate answers, so that we don't have any extraneous information that may be found on the web. So this tool will allow you to search across the entire document, and you can see it will give you a lot of information very quickly on, yes, you can operate a home-based business, and it will tell you all the restrictions that apply. You can also do anything in a different language, which will be super helpful in many of our communities that have 80 or 100 different languages that are spoken. And we can also go right to the zoning of a property by accessing Suhog's GIS map, so that you can search for a property, identify all the zoning, and I won't steal his thunder in terms of everything that the GIS aspects can do. So with that, a very quick overview of what enCodePlus is doing and some of our new tools that are coming forward. The most exciting thing and the most important thing is the integrations, the dynamic integrations that ViewPro and enCodePlus have built, so that as the map changes, it automatically updates. As there are edits and amendments that are published and codified in your development code, it too is also dynamically updated and integrated in this application. So with that, Suhog, I'll let you continue with your portion of the presentation.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. If you don't mind, if you can stop sharing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, you are able to see my screen right now, correct?
It's just coming in, yes, on the Littleton map.
Awesome. I'm just going to refresh it. Well, thank you again, Brett. I hope you all are enjoying the content so far. Been about 20 years in the industry, and what excites me the most is what Brett has managed to put his 3 decades of work experience into something so useful that a traditionally kind of a less appreciated part of the technology now has features that allows you to do some phenomenal things behind the scenes through his maintenance module, which I think is a game changer compared to any of the competitors or peers. What I want to show you is how we are leveraging GIS and augment and complement what enCodePlus has been doing and tell a story through data. We're going to show you tell you a story. This is a town of Littleton, just outside of Denver. Many of the folks who have joined in, I personally know many of you, and you will relate to this kind of a story. Number one is we are Esri's business partner. So we want to make sure that we are leveraging all of your GIS data, no matter what shape or form comes into play. Second thing is we want to promote standard business practices, meaning we don't want you to reinvent the wheel. We will leverage what you have and build on top of it. So we don't want you to change any of your processes. Secondly, we built a digital twin for the city. It is not a prerequisite, but it does create a cool 3-dimensional contextual layer that you can analyze it and have realistic trees. It kind of gives you exactly what it looks like on the ground. Very recently, we were working on a town of Highland Park just north of downtown, and we broke the technology barrier where, let me turn up this, we are able to bring in very realistic looking material and light for some of the most important buildings. This is the town hall that town of Highland Park has. So this is beautiful. I mean, we don't have to create every building with such high level of 3D mesh, but this kind of brings the flavor to the different level. What I want to show you is a couple of other buildings. This is one of a very famous kind of a shopping mall. Why this is interesting is a lot of times what we make in a month or a quarter, people here tend to spend here within a day or within the hour. So this was very important to the city to kind of have that in 3D. But what I personally enjoy the most is that we also managed to bring the transportation elements. So this is the US 75 corridor. Whoever from North Texas may be able to relate to that. So we are able to take digital twin to a whole different level. Anyway, so just a little side thing that me and my team are extremely proud of. So I wanted to show that to you. However, let's moving on forward. What we want to do is give planners a one-click, one-stop shop that cuts your research and discovery time merely in seconds. So when we were starting to think, what is it we need to be helping to augment enCode's technologies, and we started asking questions, and the primary theme was that we get a lot of phone calls, emails, in-person visits, and sometimes 10, 15, 20, 30 a day. And we spend 15 to 30 minutes on an average. 30 minutes has been a very consistent number that we spend for each request or phone call or email. And about, let's say, 100 of those we get, we only convert about 2 to 5 into a real development. Rest are nothing but just trying to understand what it takes because it's not clear. So all of that time is spent in just responding to that. So we thought, okay, from 30 minutes, can we bring it down under a minute? So we came up with the idea of clicking on any parcel and bringing multiple information all in one click. So let me do that. Okay, there you go. First and foremost, we have these beautiful Google Street View that you can analyze and view information, what's on the ground. And we start connecting the data, what ENCODE has done, be exactly what the districts are. And we together create a machine learning algorithm to analyze what sort of regulations are applicable per parcel. What I mean by that is the smart zoning links will take you directly to that subchapter. So if I want to learn about planning and zoning and parking and loading, I am directly there. Now, you all may be making changes without anyone letting anybody know. Obviously, that's how it should work. You are doing your own changes, and our system behind the scenes will track all of those subchapters that is related to it and will display it without you having to follow through with us, to your GIS team, to other planners, to your IT, none of that. You just keep doing what you're doing as a planner, and we take care of the rest. In fact, let me go to a different area. Let's say if I go to a transitionary zone, one of my favorite, where people try to kind of push the boundary for the zoning regulation. Here we have similar zoning hyperlinks. However, these are different set of regulations may be applicable. So we are trying to solve that puzzle. No matter where you click, parcel by parcel, we give you exact links. You may have overlay district, PUDs. In this case, they have accessory dwelling units. We exactly know if it's allowed, and if yes, what are the regulations. We know your ownership information by connecting with your appraisal district data. But the area where we split from any of our peers throughout the country is where our ability to be a planner and where GIS had the same time. We have combined, figured out a way to bring your setback standards to life, which could be part of, Brett has done a great job oversimplifying it. But here we are trying to take that information, repackage it, getting your inline graphics, your 3D information. We also know that the zoning regulations are not always black and white. Some chapters we have to refer to. We want to give you notes. We also give you that. In addition to that, and Brett, probably you may not know this, but we also added allowed land uses right here in the same. Meaning now I know what's permitted by right, condition, subject to condition, whatever these categories are coming directly from your land use table. Now, all of this information, you are used to going to 4, 5, 6 different resources. Now it's available in one click. And the second one will directly to create a PDF report, will automatically pull out the different sources from different data sources. Everything is still clickable, meaning you can still go back to those same links, just like you were in GIS, right? Now, this thing with Planner with 1 day worth of institutional knowledge, 100 days versus 10 years of experience. Now, the institutional knowledge is not within the individual. Of course, it helps when you spend more time with the community. However, with lack of, even with a 30 minutes worth of training, a planner with no prior experience with a community can still produce the same high quality answer with this GIS mapping. And that we believe that the problem we are trying to solve. Right? Now, as if this was a first step, we push the boundary to the next level. Now that we know what it looks like on the ground, we know what it takes to build, we know the setback standard, how much you can build. We also know what you can build through permitted use table. We took all of that information and we try to give a three-dimensional interpretation what zoning regulation allows. Now, this is a very big deal because us as planners are seasoned and trained to think somewhat in 3D, and we know what a 3-story structure versus 2-story structure with a 10-foot versus 20-foot sidewalk look like. But lady down the street who have nothing to do with GIS or mapping, or John Smith, my neighbor, who may be somewhat technically well versed but not quiet, he or she may not be able to interpret that. So idea is, let's say take an example where they try to come up with a three-dimensional bid potential, gives you your stats immediately, tells you how much is the setback, how much is the buildable environment, but we also tell you exactly where we are getting the information from. This is not arbitrary. In this particular instance, different building typology gives you different setback, and we allow you to change it. And the three-dimensional output will respond to that. Now, let's say many of the 75% of you here are for local government. I'm going to tell a story where that happens more often than not. Is there's always mayor's best friend who comes in who wants to push the boundary, and he comes up, I want to build 60 feet worth of structure here. Why? Because it's a transitionary zone. It's an up and coming. It's a great corridor. More commercial can happen, and it is now in your lap to kind of prove it one way or the other. Now, mayor comes in, sit down with you. Hey, I want to help my friend. What can we do to help? And you, as a planner, will be able to drive that conversation very intelligently with logic, saying, um, this one with the shadow, his neighbor will never see a day of light, not quite the same way. Do you really want that to happen? In fact, with a line of sight analysis, he will be looking into everyone's backyard all day long, and that may not be appreciated by his peers. These are really genuine concern, not to mention that our regulation does not allow us to do that. But we are able to create a scenario without really knowing Esri technology much. We are just trying to figure out a way to tell a story. However, in order to find the middle ground, we say, you know what, how about we give them a 40-foot high, but in the side, instead of 5, we make it to 35 feet, or let's say even 40 feet. We might be able to create a scenario that we might be able to create a variance and come up with a plan to kind of give a little bit more height and create a solution. You can simply create a PDF document and kind of push the entire process back to the user. They can look at the PDF, share the PDF, print the PDF, and they have all the resources they need right at the time. That's the step number 1, right? Now, let's say if this one is done, now this becoming a new reality, the next step is to push the boundary and leverage Azure's ecosystem to the fullest. So what we did was we built what we call as an ArcGIS Urban Connector. And many of you who know what ArcGIS Urban is, it is a 3-dimensional scenario planning software with lots and lots of features that we feel that it's best done within the ArcGIS Urban framework. So what we can do is that we can push this, and I can push this particular scenario back to ArcGIS Urban with a click of a button. The moment I push it, and when it's sending, once it's done, I can go back to ArcGIS Urban, and I'm gonna go. I may have to refresh it because I don't know if it's been sitting here for a while. I'm gonna show it to you right here, probably. And I'm gonna show you, there we go. Right? I can come back here. This was the study area, but if you remember, without any setbacks, I will not be able to, when I just eat everything for a second so that I can demonstrate to you very quickly. Okay. Now, if you go back here, it was 16 feet, 40 feet in the side. Here it was 16 feet. Now, if I take measurement of this area, right? And I'm going to do new measurement from here to here is the 16 feet as I showed it to you. From here to here is the 40 feet that I was talking about. And now I can simply come in and draw directly on top of it with precision, which was not possible to do beforehand. Now we are able to take this to the next level. And I'm going to show you through another example that this was the existing condition for one of the site, and we can bring in different type of SketchUp or Revit model and run that process quite efficiently. So we are pushing the Esri ecosystem, the use of it, without really us being too intelligent about it. Okay. Now let's say we go to the fantastic story that AI is rewriting and how it is affecting us as planners. So now I'm going to show you an example of how we are thinking very much along the same path as what Brett was talking about, that users want to have participation in AI, but they want to be extremely accurate. They don't want to have unintended wrong answers. They want to build confidence, but at the same time, they don't want to be incurring additional work processes. So this is an imaginary city of Mayorville that we believe that in the community development, we can come up with an AI tool, or it could be part of the same tool that Brett was talking about. But for demonstration purposes, we build a companion tool called Kobe, and you can speak to him. Literally, I highly recommend. I'm going to put a couple of links that you can actually experiment with it. But here I'm going to show you how we can have actual conversation. So basically, we have given a couple of addresses so that you can experiment with it. But we are able to find these 5 questions that we believe are most commonly asked when you have those 10, 15, 20 phone calls. And we believe that if we can just solve these initial questions and then build on top of it, there is a huge possibility that we can earn trust first, show accuracy, and add as many more additional functionality as possible. So let's say I can type in, but I'm just going to use this and I can just put the address in there. And he's going to start producing answers quite efficiently. The way we have done this is by teaching the AI agent not to go to the World Wide Web, but stay within that funnel, the bridge between enCodePlus here. We have the GIS data here, and we build this bridge where they can efficiently exchange information without any interruption and not go outside. And that's why we are able to generate this accurate answer, because our AI agent is not only customized, we are not telling him to go outside to find unimaginative or totally imaginary answers. So this is a central business district. And the biggest thing is, can I build a specific use? I'm just going to come up with a use. Can I build bed and breakfast? He's going to just start producing the answer, basically yay or nay, and say, yes, you can build it. By the way, it's permitted with limitation. It gives you a clear disclaimer saying do not do anything without connecting with the city staff or our general AI use disclaimer. And when we create this report, is going to, there you go, right there. It is the same report that you have already seen it before using our general mapping application. It produces the same information, same idea, just to package it differently, meaning we are using the same data sources. If you can trust our GIS mapping, you can also trust AI. Just for fun, I want to show you, let's say, it's a BOA. Let's say I want to build a lounge here, right? And I can even say, can I build a lounge on this site, right? What I'm expecting it is that it should be permitted as special use review by city council. And I'm expecting the same accuracy. There you go. And now you can have the same report as well. Why it is showing BOA? Oh, sorry, it was BOA here, right there. My bad. And it is giving the same answer, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that, and I'm going to show this to you very briefly. I know it's just a PowerPoint, but here in this particular slide, what I was trying to demonstrate is the complexity, right? The Lego boxes pieces has to be put in a certain order and configured correctly. What we have done in our applications is the same thing. What you see here, 80% of it is already Esri's system. And only 20% is proprietary. The point I'm making is we exactly know what piece goes where, in what order, how to configure correctly. So us as planner, we can actually tell a story, right? So this is our way, our interpretation of how we can build the bridge. But I want to ask you a question saying, let me see. I'm going to ask you a question saying, let me see. Okay, what is the most common question that you get asked within your organization? Because if we know what problems you are trying to solve, we would be able to kind of address that with some sort of a solution. And by the way, in the meantime, there is a Q&A button somewhere in your system. You are more than welcome to start asking questions. I can see some of them already lining up. We are also approaching the timeline that we will be able to address those questions very quickly. And I know it's an open-ended question. I'm going to leave it here for a few seconds. But we would really appreciate it if you could take the time to kind of, even a short abbreviation is totally fine too. Okay. I guess with this, I just wanted to take a little pause here and kind of bring Brett back into the conversation and see if he wanted to add some more to kind of close the conversation and open up a Q&A.
Yeah, see, one of the questions was about translation services. So that's interesting. To my knowledge, I have not seen anybody that has translated a document. I'm going to share my screen here for a moment again.
I think we got 4 answers. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep it open for a few more seconds and I will close the poll. Thank you.
So this is, by way of answering your question, this is the City of San Diego, California Municipal Code. It is being, we built the municipal code and now we're adding all of the archives back to 1970. So they will have all planning and zoning provisions, full history dating back to that time. But if you notice up here at the top, it's now in English. So if I want to change that to Spanish, I can immediately change their entire code into Spanish. They asked us to be able to translate the code into 9 different languages. So we've got this in 9 languages. So you can see there it is in Spanish. We have tested this with Spanish staff, and they have said that yes, the integrity is there, so that it is understandable in other languages. And I also wanted to show you that in our AI tool, please provide this answer in Spanish. So we can do the same thing here. So really, anybody in your community that goes in can answer or ask a question in any language. Let me see. Yeah, so AI is conversing in multiple languages. It will show you that here momentarily. Are the code translations legally binding? That is a very good question. We have not been asked that previously. I would presume so. This is going to be as accurate as anything that exists anywhere on the web. However, as Suhag showed you, we need to have, or we do have disclaimers so that everybody knows that before you do anything, before you make any decisions, make any investment decisions, you need to verify and validate everything with the city or the county staff. So this is
Awesome.
very exciting. We've been asked over the years, hey, you've written this Unified Development Code, can you put it in Spanish? Well, if you want to have that fully translated by another company, it might cost you $20,000 or $30,000. So here we have invested in the technology to be able to do this in short order.
If I may add one more thing, Brett, here.
Yes.
One thing you may want to care about is all of our tools are WCAG, which is the World Accessibility Guidelines for Disabled Folks. So I'm going to tell you that all of our ENCODE and ViewPro's tools, including AI, will be WCAG accessible guideline. Is going to pass all those and beyond. So I think state of Colorado has already implemented the WCAG accessibility guidelines very, very strictly. I guess rest of the states are expected by what, summer of 2026?
Spring. By spring, any city that's over 50,000 population has to comply. And then the following spring of 2027 applies to all other cities and counties. And just for those who may not be familiar with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, some of you may be, this is for any hearing or visually impaired persons that they can utilize the screen, that it will have an audio reader. So they have been programmed so that it will read out the content. If there's any tables or images or anything like that, there are text tags, so it will identify for them, what may be viewed on that page as well.
While you're on AI, there is an interesting question coming in is, can AI answer in a detailed site-specific zoning questions from 2 perspectives, from zoning ordinance perspective and from GIS perspective? Why don't you answer from your end and I can answer from the GIS side? Can the AI agent answer detailed site-specific zoning questions accurately from ordinances and from GIS perspective?
Well, yeah. First off, I guess if you know the zoning of the property, Suhag's system will be able to allow you to either click on a parcel or type in an address. we are working now to integrate our two systems so that you'd be able to type in an address or even click on a map if it's an unplatted piece of property to identify what the zoning is. Once you know what the zoning is, you can look that up. You can ask any questions that you really want to.
Fantastic.
So right now, we're not able to type in an address at this prompt, but in the coming weeks and months, we will be able to do that.
From the GIS perspective, I think we had a webinar in July where we talked about AI without hype. And we also talked about our thought process of Tesla versus Toyota approach, where the analogy, the crux of the matter was Tesla came in hot and heavy and implemented some really cool tools, but now consumers are having a little bit of a pushback because it does have certain shortcomings in terms of ability to go anywhere, time savings, and stuff like that. Same way, if we kind of go too much too fast, sometimes we may leave out some very important matters unaddressed and accuracy may be compromised. And we are in the business of giving accurate answers. Brett was on a deposition yesterday about the zoning regulations and the importance of interpretation and what you can do, and some matters can lead into a court. Same way, we want to make sure that we go slow for the first 6 months, maybe the phase one, answer every question that we are preparing our AI agent to very, very accurately and build on top of that success, one thing at a time. I don't see a reason why not in the next couple of years we would be able to answer so many other planning and zoning questions so efficiently, because not only the technology is growing, but at the same time our ability to implement that technology with our core parameters of trust, confidence, community building, and transparency, all of those has to be addressed. So short answers, can we do that? Yes, but we are taking cautious approach to ensure there's enough data confidence into it.
Here's an example. I just type in what's the zoning downtown. And so it tells me it's primarily zoned downtown arts district. So I can click on that and jump to that district. Also will tell me further divided into sub areas. As you can see here, Main Street and Flex. It will give you the cross references to the applicable sections that are in their Unified Land Development Code. It's also giving us access to the Arts District Blueprint, which is a plan document. You can view the zoning map. So you can see here in a matter of a few seconds, you can gather a lot of information. As I said, where we're going is you'll be able to say, what can I do at 123 Cherry Street? And it's going to give you oodles of information about everything you need to know about your address. We're able to do that right now in GIS. We're just simply melding our tools together.
While we are on the sensitive subject of AI, I want to ask you all a question. If your organization, based on information that we have shared with you, would you be open, or would you be, are you ready if you have the right tool? Would your organization, or is your organization ready to implement AI today? So we see some answers coming in. And again, Stephen, I know you've been asking all the questions and stealing the thunder here. We would appreciate it, and we would welcome the rest of you to kind of ask any questions, and would love to address it.
In my experience of talking with our clients across the country, obviously some are more advanced than others. Some are more into technology than others. Seems like many communities are really starting to assemble their policies on how do we use these tools, in what ways can they be used, the legalities of utilizing these tools. So in conversations I've had with IT directors and city attorneys and even planners, seems like there's some background work that's being done by some of the cities just to make sure that, as Suhag said, that we're working very methodically toward a tool that we can rely on and that it's truly accurate.
Yeah. You are many of you who are tuned in, but we got very few responses. I will keep it open for a few seconds. However, Brett, can you answer Stephen's question about are the code translations legally binding? I think it's
Yeah,
directed to you.
I did respond to that. Two things. First was the disclaimer that anybody that is looking at this online tool always needs to check with the city or the county to verify and to validate the answers that they got. We don't want anybody relying on this as quote, necessarily official, or to make sure that all their interpretations are correct. This is as accurate as any other tool available on the web in terms of the translation to the languages. It is very close. So I would envision that, yes, it should be legally binding, but I'm not an attorney. So I would rely on your attorneys for that answer.
You got a very interesting question here, Brad. It says, how long does a typical implementation take for the ordinance management, and how much time it takes for the GIS implementation?
Yeah.
If you can address your part.
Well, for us, it depends on what it is that you'd like to build. If you're doing a zoning ordinance that's 300 pages, that could probably be designed and built and tested and stood up within probably 60 days. If you are doing the Unified Development Code, comprehensive plan, small area plans, multiple documents, your engineering standards manual, things like that, it obviously takes a little bit longer to migrate that content into the system and build that out. And then the other question is, we've got about 25 individual tools, from the calculators to the different navigators and things like that. So it depends on which of those features you opt for. Mm-hmm. So it could be as fast as 30 to 45 days. And some of our larger implementations might take 3 to 6 months, depending upon how significant that site is.
Awesome. From the GIS side, it's much simpler for us because we rely on the great work that Brett's team does, but with two assumptions that all your zoning ordinances are ready to go on a platform such as enCodePlus, and your GIS data is in order, which I want to believe that it is. Our turnaround time can be literally 1 working week. As long as the data is ready, we can go live in a heartbeat. I think preparing the data is probably the only hurdle that we see, but we are very proud to say that we can turn things around rather quickly.
I'm interested to see the responses here that a quarter of you are skeptical, and rightly so. I think that probably represents much of society as AI is just starting to gain some ground and maybe not even have fully grabbed its footing just yet. So I think that's one of the things that we are most in tune with as well. That's why we're taking kind of a slow and steady approach, making sure that any answers that are received are coming, directly from their specific documents, that there's really no margin for error. There could be margin in interpretation of how somebody might read something, but in terms of the contents, it's going to be as accurate as the city's data is accurate.
Awesome.
So hopefully that skepticism will wane over time.
I think this is an interesting question that came on a personal message is, how does enCode's portal improve customer service at the planning counter? I don't know what I mean by what I understand by planning counter, but if you can address that, Brett.
Well, I know as a young planner, I had people that were calling, emailing, coming into the office all the time looking for the most basic of information. The goal here is that people don't even have to get in their car and drive to City Hall or the county complex in order to get their questions answered. We are well on our way to making everything available via the web, via your phone, or via any other digital device, so that you can get those answers yourself in a matter of minutes, just like you do everything else on your phone. If you want to go to dinner or look up something else on Google, we're doing the same thing here. Also, these tools are very easy to learn on your own. So we can have people at a front desk, whether that's probably doesn't even have to be a planner of the day. It could be a receptionist or somebody of that nature that can receive a call, look this information up, and give them answers in seconds if they do call. So we think that the amount of time that takes for people to get their correct answers will be dramatically reduced, and the satisfaction will increase dramatically because we're also being very transparent with all the information.
I think it's an excellent point, Brett, you're making, because I've heard cities saying that we have an on-call planner whose job is to just do that. Now, I'm not saying this is not important. This is a very much part of our job description. However, imagine a planner is spending one of the team members at any given time is spending all their time is responding to a question. So the planners are not actually adding more value being a planner than just doing a customer service, important part. If we can provide them the right tools, right technology, and they have non-technical folks at the city, including receptionists or junior staff, if they can answer the question just as effectively, I think we just not only save a lot of time and money, but also spreading the institutional knowledge beyond just the planning and zoning department. I think that's something I hope it's pretty clear. I want to ask one more question. If you can, hold on. How do I do this? Okay. I'm trying to launch a poll, but I'm not able to. Anyways, okay. Sorry about that. Launch. Okay, there you go. If you, I know you saw a lot of cool things today. Some things may be more important to you right away. Some things may be important to you down the road. I think I got a wrong one. I apologize. I shouldn't have Julio Carrillo. I don't know why that happened, but get in touch with us. If you have more specific questions on ordinance management, please feel free. And Julio is not going to answer anything today. It's my bad. Apologize for that. But we'll be happy to address any of your additional questions that you have. We have been recording this session today, so we will be sending the recording to you as well. But we would love to get back to you for the folks who have answered direct questions, who asked us to get in touch with you. And hopefully we have a chance to serve your community one way or the other. But Brad, any concluding remarks?
Yeah, if there is interest in doing a demo with other members of your staff, management team, or whoever that might be, we're happy to schedule a demo. Those demos usually take at least 30 minutes and as much as an hour, depending upon the number of questions and so forth. So awesome. We appreciate your time for participating with us today. Thank you so much.
We are 3 minutes ahead of time, so we're going to give you all those gazillion minutes back to you so you can solve the planning challenges at your organization. But truly, sincerely appreciate you taking the time today with us. I hope you enjoyed the content, and we're looking forward to keeping in touch. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.